Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to another live stream of ours where we are going to continue our, let's say, traditional format of doing a Q&A and then also doing a book review. So today, I'm back with my mystery thriller reviews and questions. For those of you who are a regular viewer of this channel, you might know how much I love mystery thrillers, how much I love reading it and talking about it. So that's why I've been reading a few thrillers the past week and I thought I would review it with a question that in my previous live stream where we reviewed a book by James Patterson, we talked a little bit about why people love to read mystery thrillers, because most often times the books they depict a lot of violence and dark plots like murdering and kidnapping, but still we find a very large audience for this particular genre. So the common question is why? Why do people feel the need to read dark plots like this? And I asked no one else but ChatGPT for the answer. So right now we are going to do a very fun Q&A where we are going to review the answers that ChatGPT gave me. Okay, so the question was, why do people love to read mystery thrillers? And ChatGPT gave me a few answers and we are going to review and discuss this. Okay, so the first answer was the thrill of the puzzle. So basically, what it says is that mystery thrillers they act like a puzzle, and they create this clues, and it encourages the reader to try and guess the identity of the killer. So it's basically a who done it, and we all know that's basically the format of a mystery thriller, the typical who done it, where the reader has to guess with the plot and the clues and everything. They have to guess the killer or the culprit even before the detective. That would be the fun challenge, right? If we could uh, understand, or if we could pick out the culprit even before the detective, then we could say we are quite smart. So I guess, yes, I do agree with that answer, where the challenge of finding the culprit before the detective is basically a key ingredient when it comes to mystery thrillers. So, a few people have joined in the chat, and hello to everyone. This is Bookishly Yours, and we are going to discuss book recs, book reviews, and fun, question answers. So, I'm doing good. I hope you are all doing fine as well. So, don't forget to like this video and subscribe that channel if you haven't already. And with that, we are discussing mystery thrillers. Okay, for those of you who are joining late, we are discussing why do people love to read thrillers. And the first reason was that they they love to find out who the culprit is even before the detective. Okay, that challenge, that thrill is mainly the reason why people love to read thrillers. This is the answer given by ChatGPT, and I do agree with that. Okay, so we are going to go with the next answer, that is adrenaline and suspense. So I guess a lot of mystery thrillers out there, they create this sort of an adrenaline rush. Like I said, the suspense and the thrill, that is also the main ingredient when it comes to mystery thrillers, where we turn the pages quickly in order to find out, you know, who is the real suspect. We will have a list of suspect, we don't know who it is. It could be a one person or it could be a gang, and only the clues out there, the plot twist, that would help us find out the real culprit. So mystery thrillers are most often a page turner, because in every chapter we will find new suspect, we might find a new murdering or kidnapping or something or the other happening, and that sort of prompt us to turn the page quickly to find out what happens next. And it does make sense. A good mystery thriller would always keep up that curiosity, and really make us want to finish that book in one reading, in one sitting. So, yes, I also agree with that answer that mystery thrillers most often run on this adrenaline and suspense. So, the next opinion is the twist and shock. So, basically, plot twist that we have always discussed. A good thriller really does run on a very good plot twist that is most often unpredictable. Because if it is something that we can predict, if we it is something that we can see beforehand, where's the fun in that, right? But if it is something that is unpredictable, if it is something that we were not expecting at all, that is where the fun lies, where the plot twist, it does help us in turning the pages quickly and in finding out who the real culprit is. So, yes, the plot twist, something that will make us think that I never saw that coming, I never thought of that possibility. That sort of a plot twist really does, I guess, make a thriller that much of a super hit. Something that we can see a lot in the books by Agatha Christie and James Patterson. These are few of my favorite authors out there. So, yes, the plot twists are a very key ingredient, but I also think that a good thriller shouldn't be plot twist alone, because if it is a story that doesn't have a good plot, that doesn't have a good character development or anything, it just runs on plot twist alone, those kind of a story might not become a good thriller. It should have everything. It should have a good plot, it should have a good characters and character development, and there should be that suspense, but it also should have good plot twist. If everything comes together, then we could call it a good thriller, a perfect thriller, right? So the next answer that was given by ChatGPT was the safe exploration of the dark side. I guess this is the answer when it comes to the question that why do people read a lot of thrillers, especially when it contains a lot of dark plot, like violent behavior, like murder and serial killing and kidnapping. Despite that, people read it, and there's a lot of audience for that kind of a crime thriller. And the reason why is it that it is a safe space for the exploration of the dark side. We read about things like this every day in the news, and again, we might have direct experience with things like that, like robbery or a close encounter with death or danger. But when it comes to thrillers, we do read about it, we do get to know about things like this, but it is at a safe side because we are just reading about it. We're not experiencing it real hand. So that is, I guess, the main reason why these books let the readers explore dark themes, but everything from a place of safety. So I guess that is why a lot of people tend to read fictional crime, because it is, I guess, metaphorically speaking, a safe space. And the last, sorry, not last, but I guess one of the most key answer is it is fast-paced escapism. That is mainly why we read. The reason we read is most often times a way to escape, a way to escape reality and to enter an imaginative world, a fictional world where we can dream about anything, we can fantasize about anything. We don't have to, or we may not be able to live those dreams in real life, but we can definitely imagine, we can definitely dream it. And most often, a lot of books out there, fantasy, not just fantasy, rom-com, and even thrillers for that matter, they let us live in an imaginative world, even if it is just for a few hours. But then that escapism is there, and that is something that a lot of people enjoy. That is mainly one of the main reason why we are all readers. So, yes, I guess when it comes to mystery thrillers, there is that escapism, and we may undergo a journey with the detective who is investigating the crime. We may imagine ourselves as a police officer or a detective, a private, detective, and we get to experience that side of a criminal investigation. Even if we are not someone who chose that career option in real life, but we still get to imagine that role, and we get to imagine ourselves in that role. So I guess that sort of an escapism is also the reason why a lot of people read thrillers, and that is something that I wholeheartedly agree. I lost the count of time I imagined myself as a police officer or a private eye investigating, a crime or a thriller. I imagine myself as Hercule Poirot or Miss Marple in Agatha Christie, and that private detective in James Patterson's books. So that escapism is a very good reason why we tend to read a lot of thrillers. And then next is the fascination with human nature. So, when it comes to a lot of thrillers, especially psychological thrillers, we get to know why people do the things they do. For example, we don't just see the criminal as it is, we get to know why he or she has come to be that sort of a person. We get to know why that person tend to do crimes like this. We get to know the background of that person. And one thing that I believe is that it's not birth, but circumstances that make a person a hero or a villain. So that is something I wholeheartedly believe in. And in thrillers, we see that. We see a person, it could be most often times, it is the circumstances that force them to do the crime. But the crime is a crime. There is no validation, it is not justified. But you can't say someone is born a criminal. It is the circumstances around them, the surroundings around them that make them do so. And what can I say? When we read psychological thrillers like this, we tend to understand that bit. We tend to understand why people lie, why people betray, why people commit such heinous crimes. And so it sort of makes us learn about human nature a lot. We may not be psychiatrists or psychologists, but we do tend to get a picture of how human nature works. And that sort of fascination that also helps people, I guess, read a lot of thrillers out there to sort of understand why a person commit such crimes. So that is also something that I do relate, because it's through reading a lot of thrillers that I also came to know that it is most often times circumstances that make a person a hero or a criminal, based on how they have grown up, what all influences they had. And yes, the Wolf of Wall Street is a very good example of that sort of a thing. That's a good example. Thank you. And we can find a lot of examples, not just in movies or books, series. We see a lot of examples around us where, it's the kind of influence that a person grows up in that makes that person who they are. And it's a fact. So, yes. And there is a bonus answer that was given by ChatGPT as to why we tend to read a lot of thrillers out there, and it is that it makes up for a good conversation. Well, that is true. Just think about me, for example. I'm sitting here talking to you guys about thrillers itself. I'm giving you recommendations and everything. They are a good conversation starter, and they are a good topic of conversation where, like I said, we talk about thrillers. We just don't talk about the book itself. We talk about the characters, why they are behaving the way they have behaved, the actions, the motive behind it, because everyone's opinion is different. I could give you my point of view, but it could be very much different from the way you have analyzed the character or you have understood the story. And every opinion count, because every opinion may be different and unique, but that is what is mainly that's what mainly helps the conversation, where we could understand each other's point of view and learn to appreciate it and respect it as well. So for those of you who have joined in the chat with me, if you really think the points made here are really helpful, or do you agree? If you agree with any of my opinions, do like this video, and you could share your opinion as well here. And with that, we are going to our most anticipated book reviews. Okay, so we are analyzing or reviewing not one but two books, mystery thrillers, and one is this one, The Silent Widow by Sidney Sheldon, and the second one is this, Host by Robin Cook. Okay, so these are the two books that we will be reviewing right now. We are going to start with The Silent Widow by Sidney Sheldon. So most of the times I read a lot of Agatha Christie and James Patterson, and I really wanted to come out of that, sort of a circle, and I really wanted to read other authors as well. So that's why I took this book, Sidney Sheldon. This is first time I'm reading this book by this author, and I really enjoyed it. So basically, the story is happens in LA, Los Angeles, and our protagonist is a psychologist called Nikki Roberts, and her husband recently passed away in a car accident, car bomb attack, and also one of her patients goes missing. So Nikki Roberts is, I guess, very much concerned and is also suspected, and she finds herself trapped in this circle of secrets, and that's how the story starts. And slowly all of her patients starts to either disappear or gets murdered, and the police's prime suspect is Nikki Roberts herself, because it's everyone connected to her. All of these people have only one common link, and that is Nikki Roberts, and that's why she is suspected. And let's say she finds herself as a suspect when she is very innocent. She doesn't know what is going on with her, but apparently there is someone who is targeting her and someone who wants to silence her for the things that she may know. So that is how she decides to investigate this case on her own, because the police is not helping her. The police is suspecting her. So she turns into, let's say, a detective. Not necessarily, she's just investigating what the hell is happening around her. And that's how she finds herself trapped in this circle of a lot of dark plot. We see drug trafficking, we see human trafficking and drug cartels and everything. And all of this is associated with her past. And she has a lot of dark secrets in her past, which also gets revealed throughout the story. So that's basically how the story is. And when it comes to uh, the things that I really enjoyed about this book was published in 2018. Okay, so this one was published in 2018. And one of the few things that I really liked about this book was how fast paced it is. The plot really does move very fast. It doesn't really lag or anything like that, so you don't feel bored or dull. And I really also liked the strong female character. I really liked how independent she is and resilient she is, and her transition from a victim to a suspect to a fighter, and is very well detailed and very well portrayed as well. So that's one thing I really liked about this book. And as usual, the suspense is really there, and it really keeps you wondering about the plot of the story, because it happens in a global setting. So the story actually happens in Los Angeles, but then it moves on to Mexico and Europe. So we can say it's a very wide, vast sort of a setting. And I guess one thing that might not work for everyone is maybe the complexity of the plot, because there are a lot of characters and a lot of subplot as well. So I guess it was fairly easy for me to get the hang of things, to sort of understand what is going on. But it may not be the case for everyone. But nevertheless, this is something that is very realistic, because the trafficking side of things, the drug trafficking, human trafficking, we have all come across news like this time and again It is very relevant and something that should be discussed. And the plot in this story, this really does discuss everything very realistically. Okay, so that's one thing I want to tell you. If you're looking for a cozy read or if you want a light read, then this is not the book. Okay, this is very, the book discuss very dark plot like this, and something that is very complex. So if you like crime thrillers like that, if you don't mind complex complicated plot and maybe a lot of subplot and characters, and if you love to read realistic things that we often see in the news as well, so we can't say this is fictional, this really does happen in real life, then definitely check out this book. Okay, it's The Silent Widow by Sidney Sheldon. And the next book that we are going to discuss is Host by Robin Cook. Okay, so this is the next book, and this is a medical thriller. And this is the first time I'm reading something by Robin Cook as well. So for me, this is a new read, a new author, and I don't read a lot of medical thrillers as well. So that's one of the reason I picked this up. I was very curious when I read the, you know, the blurb, and this was published in 2015. And the story, let's see. The story is Lynn Pierce. She's a medical student and she works at the, sorry, she studies at the Mason Dixon University, and her boyfriend Carl is admitted to the hospital for a minor surgery, but he ends up being comatose. Okay, and Lynn is devastated because she doesn't know what happened. Such minor surgeries doesn't usually result in such of consequences, and she asked the authorities for help. She asked the authority for explanation, but none of them are ready to give an explanation. Most often they are trying to cover it up. They're trying to cover up the incident and not giving any sort of an answer, and they are even threatening students that they shouldn't talk to anyone, not even the authorities, for an explanation. And that really triggers her, or that really makes her wonder what is going on and whether something very sinister, something evil is happening in the behind scenes. So she teams up with her classmate Michael, and both of them try to find out what is happening because the university also has a center where the comatose patients are, no, let's say, they are made to stay there for extra treatment, and there is no guarantee that they might come back to life. Most often they stay in the vegetative state itself, but the center has a lot of advanced technology. Okay, they literally using artificial intelligence for the treatment of these comatose patients, and that's how well made up the center is. But no one is allowed to go there. No, not a single person is allowed to go there. It is fully functioned by artificial intelligence, and that is where Carl is moved to. So Lynn is not able to visit him, and she doesn't know what is happening there. And this sort of a hushed up situation really makes her wonder what, whether there is something sinister happening in, you know, in the backdrop, and that makes her investigate this incident. And that's how we come to know about, let's say, something that we should also talk about, something that we usually see in the news as well, that is the how much the influence of privatization and capitalization happens in medical field. So here we discuss the themes of, again, organ trafficking, and also the theme of medical ethics and how far people are willing to go to for the greed of money. And that is a very key theme here. And also we talk about artificial intelligence and biotech as well, because like I said, the research center that I talked about is fully functioned by artificial intelligence. Not a single human being is set to work there, not a single human being is allowed to work there. And everything, the every treatment of those comatose patients are done by the artificial intelligence. So that it also talks about the relevance of technology and how advanced technology has become. And like I said, the main theme is how, terrifying is the implication of profit driven healthcare. where experimentations are done on human beings. Most often humans who have come to a coma state or vegetative state, experiments are done on them without their consent. Just because they are in that state, they take the liberty to do so. And there's no consent, there is no sort of an investigation. It's very hushed up and it's very much privatized and capitalized. So everything is happening on for money. That's just it. That's why I said it, the main theme is about ethics. And here, since it is a medical thriller, it's about medical ethics and how far people are willing to go to just for money. Okay, so that's how dark the plot is. And what works well in this book is how realistic it is, because I understand that Robin Cook is a doctor himself. So when it comes to describing a lot of medical terms and medical procedures, he has done a wonderful job. And every term and every procedure is very detailed. So that is something that should be appreciated, because it makes us familiar with these sort of terms and things, even especially if we don't come from that career field. And I also like how fast paced it is. It is not dragging or dull, and it is really a page turner. And really how the suspense is kept in all the chapters. uh, the sort of the idea or the curiosity of what will happen. Will Lynn be able to expose the sinister things that is happening, or will she be also hushed up? That's the question that we constantly think when we read. So I really like how it is fast paced. And one thing I really appreciate is how it is relevant, because like I said, this sort of human experimentation, this sort of a privatization, and also the uh, fast growing advanced technology of our time. All of these are relevant topics that have been discussed time and again and still comes up. So all of this have been dealt with in a very realistic way. It's not really fictional. He talks about it in a very realistic way, and I really enjoy how he took up that theme and presented it. And I also like the female lead here. Lynn Pierce was very much a very heroic and, let's say, resilient character. She's very intelligent, she's very determined, and even when she faced with a lot of danger, she didn't back down. And that is very empowering and inspiring as well. So that's those were some of the things that I really liked in this book. And I guess when it comes to things that may not work for everyone, I will say the overuse of maybe the medical jargon. Because, like I said, while I appreciate the use of all these medical jargon, very much detailed to make us understand what each term means and each procedure means, I'm not sure how many people will be able to understand that, because it is not written in layman terms. So some of the terms there might give you confusion, but it's not something that will take away the fun of reading it. I'm just putting it out there, because again, this is not a light read. This is not a light read. This is not a cozy read. This book really discuss a lot of dark plot, mainly about drug experimentation, human experimentation, and drug trafficking and organ trafficking, and a lot of mainly the privatization uh, in healthcare. That is the main theme. So do look it up if you want to read medical thrillers, if you want to read about psychological thrillers or something, you don't mind a dark plot or mainly a heavy type of content in that sense, then definitely you could check out this book. I really enjoyed it. I am planning on reading more books by Sidney Sheldon and Robin Cook as well. I will see if I could maybe pick more books the next time I visit the library, and I will give you reviews of it as well. So that that really wraps up our live stream for today, where we have discussed about why people love mystery thrillers, why people enjoy reading mystery thrillers, and most often it is for the suspense. It is for that adrenaline rush, that curiosity, and it is also to just understand the background of a criminal. Why does that person do such things? Is it mostly we find that it is because of the circumstances? So, to understand the human mind, thrillers do help us. And it is also a safe space for us to explore those dark themes like murdering and kidnapping, and we understand the science behind them, because we do understand there is a science behind them. And those are few of the things why ChatGPT thinks people love reading mystery thrillers, and I do agree with a lot of those points. And then we reviewed two of these books, Sidney Sheldon's The Silent Widow, and also this is a psychological thriller, and Robin Cook Host, this is a medical thriller. So we found out how how much uh, the plot varies when it comes to all these different genres. I There was a time when I thought thrillers were just that. I didn't know there was subplot, and it's only after that I started reading books by a lot of authors out there, not just Agatha Christie. I started reading books by James Patterson and Robin Cook and Sidney Sheldon. That's when I found out there were subplots, subcategories like medical thriller and psychological thriller, and what else, detective thrillers and things like crime thrillers. And I didn't knew there were so many subcategories. I thought everything came under one thing, that is thrillers. So that was really an eye opener, a good realization that there was such subcategorization. But then again, you read, you learn a lot of things. That is the joy of learning. It is not just for the pleasure, it's also for learning, because somewhere or the other, even if it is fictional, you learn a lot of things. So that's a bit of things that we discussed in this live stream, and I had fun and talking about all of this. And thank you so much for everyone who joined the chat and who also were listening to me. And I am always grateful for you people. So if you are a regular viewer of this channel, do like this video, don't forget to do so. And you could also comment your favorite book, or whichever book you're reading, or whichever movie you're watching, you could definitely comment that. And if you're a new viewer, if you're watching this channel for the first time, this is a platform where we discuss book reviews, book recs, we do live stream, we do long form videos. And if you are a new viewer, then do consider subscribing to my channel, because we are aiming at creating a healthy community of readers and book lovers. So, with that, we are going to wrap up. Thank you so much for attending, and I'll see you next time with a new book review. Okay, so bye.